Hello, everyone. Welcome to this circle experience. I'm so glad you decided to join us today. The women that will be speaking to you are women who are part of my special circle. And we've been meeting for 20 plus years, once a month, every month, most of the time on conference calls, now on Zoom. And we try to come together once a year. Hopefully your circles will begin to do some of the same things and you will be happy and feel supported and know that there are good women surrounding you for anything you need to do. They'll be your cheerleaders. We are recording this, so I need you to press a button that says continue in order to allow us or put us in a legal position to make a recording. So would you do that? And then we will just simply move forward. Jean has a very special bell, which she rings every time we gather. And she will tell you all about it after she rings it, and you get the opportunity to hear it and feel the reverberations. Blessings on this event.
The sound of this Tibetan bowl links everyone who tunes into this as part of a large circle. We are all in circle together, linked at the heart level. And the heart chakra is actually in the center of the chest. It's the physiologically our heart is more to the left, but the chakra itself is right in the center of our chest, and it reverberates with everyone who joins this circle now or listens to this recording at any time later. So this time, feel the sound of the bell in your heart chakra. I was inspired to write The Millionth Circle, How to Change Ourselves and the World. It grew out of being aware of how change can really happen and how it began with the anti-nuclear activists using the metaphor of the 100th monkey. And this is Rupert Sheldrake's morphic field theory, where it turns out it makes real sense. It made real sense to me. And so what I did was share it. And the morphic field is when people join in and connect at a deeper level. I'm a Jungian analyst, so there's a whole notion of the collective unconscious resonates with the whole idea of the morphic field. And the sense is that when a critical number of a species learns something new, it becomes what the whole species then naturally does. I mean, we know the animals don't communicate with writing or TV or anything. It's just that when a critical number of birds and animals of any kind learn something new, that when a critical number of them have learned this, the species itself, wherever they are, the new species that are born into that species now do this new thing. So there is a sense of the collective unconscious, the morphic field, and the sense that every circle that forms taps into the archetype of the circle or the morphic field and adds to it. So every circle that meets, especially with a sacred center, proliferates this whole idea. Now, I remember back when in the 1970s, actually it was the end of the 1960s and the beginning of at the end of the 1960s, women met together in consciousness raising groups. Maybe there are those of you old enough to remember that. Otherwise, it's history. There was a sense of meeting in consciousness raising circles, and it was happening all over in the late 60s. And it appeared to be, oh, it's just women talking, that's inconsequential. But when a critical mass was formed, when women in them organized conferences, 1970 became the decade of the women's movement. So that is recent history. When a critical mass created something for women, it changed. And then, of course, there was a backlash, and lots of women said that they weren't feminists. But they went on to get educated. They went into professions that never had women in them before. And now we are seeing women in positions of authority in professions and in government in the United States. And you can trace most of it back to getting educated, inspired in the 1970s and moving into where we are now. So the Millionth Circle book got evolved from that. And then it made its way and became an organization of women who got together and were the conveners of the Millionth Circle. And we are like the elders. And in this elder group, we've held this now, we've gone to the UN over the last 20 years. So the idea of the Millionth Circle is a circle that is part of what is growing. I mean, circle is now often used more often than group. Remember when it was always grouped? Now people talk about circle. The word circle is used a lot. So those of you who have joined us either are in circles already, or you're very interested in the idea of circle and joining the circle. And one of the things we're doing together in this time is to have some experience of being in circle. And when you know that women together, especially women elders, by the way, it would seem as if once you are postmenopausal in the patriarchal world, what good are you? And in the real world of human beings, postmenopausal women have a wisdom and an experience that the indigenous women of North America recognized. And they had an elected indigenous women, they call them grandmothers, as the first circle that set the tone for the Iroquois Confederacy. 5 nations on the East Coast looked to those women elders who set the tone for 5 tribes. And that model, the Iroquois Confederacy, became the model for our constitutional government, except they eliminated the wisdom women at the top. So this is where we are now. We are seeding circles, we're supporting circles, we have been in circles ourselves. And every woman should have a circle, because it's a place where you can put your dream of what you could do, and you could speak to others who are your peers who will support you. While most ordinary lives, people are used to you being you, and they don't want you to change. So a circle is a transformative place for you to share those dreams that you and talents that you didn't have time to before, and circles will support it. So feel in your heart what it is that you want to grow from your heart into the world. And consider promising to take care of that dream of yours, beginning with, if you're not in a circle, to be in a circle.
Thank you, Jean. My name is Leslie Lanes, and it's a delight to be here with all of you who are choosing to learn more about Circle. Maybe some of you have already been sitting in circles together and you just want to be part of an amplification of Circle. As Jean mentioned, and thank you for sharing about your book, The Millionth Circle, because that was the inspiration that began the Millionth Circle initiative back in 2001, when Peggy Sabera invited women she knew who were already in Circle to come together, and the Millionth Circle initiative was born. So as Jean and Rosemary have mentioned, we have taken advantage of going to the UN and providing circles for people to reflect and to be supported while so much is going on at the UN Commission on the Status of Women. And we've gone to places, conferences, like we just finished the virtual conference of the Parliament of the World's Religions. And we've been in the other parliaments in person where we've given circle workshops. We went to, groups of us went to Cape Town, Barcelona, Salt Lake City, Toronto. So we've taken advantage of being in places where we could teach circle so that people can take these skills, these practices home and form meaningful gatherings of circles with their families, with their friends, with their work colleagues, with their community. The ancient roots of circles are found all over the world. And so it really is a gift from all of our ancestors, sitting around a center fire and sharing what's on our minds and what's in our hearts. This has been a practice of human culture for as long as there's been human culture. We particularly honor the indigenous people of the United States and indigenous peoples on all continents for this tradition that has been kept alive. So in this next hour, you'll hear from some other Millionth Circle conveners, the many ways that circles are being used and why it's important. You'll be given the basics to learn and experience a simple circle model that can be used right now and will be used when we break out, and can be taken home with you and used as a poignant way of gathering. In Oregon, where I live, I'm facilitating restorative justice circles where youth who have caused harm sit in a circle with the people who were impacted to hear each other's stories. I mean, it's an amazing thing how they learn empathy and they are brought more into the community instead of, thrown out of the community. And so after they take responsibility for their actions and find ways to make amends for what they've done, they are welcomed back into the community by sitting in circle with community members. So this is just one poignant way that circle is being used now. And in this particular case, what an amazing paradigm shift from a punitive model of handling disruptive and harmful behavior to one that has circle at its core. And it's a joy to behold, and certainly a long time in coming. And so whether you've sat in circles already for many years, or whether this will be your first time, thank you for joining us and getting that much closer to the million circles that will contribute to a major consciousness shift on our precious planet. And so now we're going to hear from Peggy, Anne, Lauren, Peggy, Rosemary, and Justine, and they'll share with you ways that they are seeing circle impact in their lives. So maybe we need, I'm not sure if you know who to go first. Let's hear from Anne first, and then Lauren, and then Peggy, Rosemary, and Justine.
Thank you. What an honor to be celebrating 20 years of the Millionth Circle. What a gift, Jean, that your book brought to us that initiated this. I've been doing circles since 1970, do circle leaderships, traveled around the world, and I usually just say when I'm in another culture, I'm just bringing back to you what you already know to do before you were colonized. They get it immediately. They get it immediately. Circle is so easy. And I also say that it is heaven on earth, because for me, circle is where everyone is equally valued and equally shares the time, the resources, the power, the leadership. And when we do that, when everyone takes a role in your circle and is accountable, it will not fail. And if it does, I'll give you your money back. So I call myself a circle evangelist. And I can just say, from doing this for all these years, doing it at the UN, doing it everywhere, it is going to be the salvation of our earth, because it will connect us back to the earth and the natural way of being, not only with all creation, but with one another. It will be our salvation. So you can see why I'm a circle evangelist, and thank you for letting me expound on it.
Thank you, Anne, and also thank you, everyone, for being here. Building on what Anne said, it is a thrill to be part of the Millionth Circle and to have the sense that we are contributing to a major shift in consciousness and the opportunity to build peace. For me, a couple of the things that really make a difference, and I've seen it in circles I've started in Brazil and Kenya and other places, is that authentic exchange and dialogue that can be so precious and rare in many people's lives occurs often in circle, where people feel free and safe and brave. So we really aim to create a safe space and a brave space that enables every member to feel room to be true to herself. Thank you. Peggy?
Hello. Thank you, Lauren. It's good to see all of you this morning. I made a commitment 20 plus years ago to be part of 2 separate women's circles, and it has been life-changing. And out of those circles has also grown Women Eradicating Racism Circle, started by our colleague, Renita Johnson. We have been able to go deeply in our conversations on racism in a way that I never found possible in ordinary conversation. we have really expanded and explored. In the circle, it's so different really than gathering good friends around the kitchen table and chatting. In the circle, the sacred space makes all the difference. That we have a clear beginning and a clear ending to the circle. We know that when we speak in circle, that it's a time of deep, deep listening. The quality of our listening can affect the quality of the one speaking. And a friend of mine says that we listen one another into being. Sometimes a woman does not even know her full story until she tells it, until she dreams her dream and shares her dream. And so the circle is a sacred place where the value of listening is utmost important. My friend Ann Dozier, when she was alive, would say, circle is the birthplace of the new human. So thank you all for being here today, and we love seeing you.
Thank you all. Am I muted? No. This circle has been a gift to me. Jean, your book has been a gift to me. The origins of women's perspective came out of circle. The origins of many of the things that I have done and the projects I've undertaken have come out of circle. Only because somebody was willing, or a group of people were willing to listen to me dreaming out loud. As I dream out loud, then my dream becomes a reality. It takes on energy, it has feet, has hands. And I don't think that many of the things that I've accomplished or begun in life would have ever begun without a circle of women behind me. Not telling me how to do it, just simply with their hand on my back and their ears to my voice. And then it begins. Creation starts out of this liminal space, which Jean taught me about. And we're all now living in. So we'll experience it in a few minutes in our own small circles. Thank you. Thank you for coming today. It is a step in the right direction.
I just join with all the others and everything that has been said about circle. And for myself, besides my participation in Millionth Circle and the anti-racism circle that Peggy talked about, I've been participating in circle for over 30 years now, both in women's circles and in a combination of women and men in one of my circles. And I find that it's deeper than friendship. It's something more, because we in circle are dedicated to supporting one another in our fullness. And we end up through time holding each other, holding each other's history as we witness deeply each member going through the cycles of life, the marriages, the divorces, the births, the deaths, the successes, the failures. So we in this process, in my experience, we see one another's wonderful qualities of brilliance and genius, and we learn not to be afraid for one another as we go through even those down cycles. The guidelines work. And when I feel I've been fully received and witnessed by another, I have personally experienced deep, deep healing. And I just want to end by saying there's an African saying that truly applies in my experience, and it goes like this: a friend is someone who knows your song and sings it to you when you have forgotten it. Those who love you are not fooled by the mistakes you have made or dark images you hold about yourself. They remember your beauty when you feel ugly, your wholeness when you are broken, your innocence when you feel guilty, and your purpose when you are confused. So with that, I'd like to pass this talking stick to Linda. Or no, excuse me, Lauren, who will help us with the guidelines. Sorry.
Oh, actually, I think, okay. All right. Linda, do you want to share a few words before I share the guidelines? Okay. Thank you. So as you've been hearing, we regard Circle as sacred space, and we invite you to consider your breakout circle as sacred space where our essence or the divine in each of us is nurtured and manifest. Hear every voice. We commit to hear every voice. We open with check-in, and one person speaks at a time. Safety and confidentiality. We co-create safety to be yourself and to take risks with an agreement to keep confidential the personal information shared. Our basic agreement is what is said in Circle stays in Circle. Today, our small breakout circles will not be recorded, even though the large group is. So please feel free knowing that will be held by those you are among. From the heart, speak and listen from the heart. Listen with discernment, not judgment. Seek to understand. Speak with respect and care. Time, we share time equitably. Leadership, we share leadership in Circle, which are leaderful. Circles are leaderful. We often use roles, which if you don't have one of us in your circle today, please take these roles, even if we are there, take these roles on. Facilitator, move things forward. Timekeeper, very important to make sure everyone has equal time. Guardian, watch for any imbalance and support the best and the most healthy in the circle. Recorder and reporter, one of you may take some notes on what were the key messages that each person shared that you can share back with the group, the large group, when we come together again. So in Circles today, we ask you to volunteer for one of these unique leadership roles. Appreciations. We open and close the circle by hearing every voice. Expressing appreciations expands our abundance and love. Please see our website for more complete guidelines, www.millionthcircle.org. You can also go to www.circleswork.net and use these circles to start your own if you don't yet have one. Enjoy. Linda.
Good morning. I'm Linda Merriman. I live in Hawaii, and the sun is coming up very brightly this morning, right in my window. And I'm happy that you're with us and that we're going to have the opportunity to be in circles together. So our wonderful tech lady, Amy, is going to put us into circles of 3 or 4 in a few minutes. And when you find that you're in your new circle, imagine in the center a candle burning and the sacred center that you're sitting around. And the first thing to do is to introduce yourself, say where you're from, and let the people in your circle know if you're in a circle already or if you're just interested in the circle experience. And then we'll have a couple of rounds in the circle, and Amy will give us a chime along the way to help you keep up with the 20 minutes of time that we have so that everybody's voice is heard and we can talk about a couple of different things. So the first thing that we want to consider is, how do you feel that being in a circle would have been beneficial during these past troubling times? And I personally have found that during the pandemic, I ended up being in 6 different circles. And it was really important to me to have this social contact and be able to experience what other people were going through and how they were handling it during this time. And it turned out to be quite a rich experience. So our first round in the circle is going to be, how do you feel that being in a circle would have been beneficial during these challenging times? And then the second thing that we want to consider is, what aspects of starting a circle, or if you're already in a circle, what things would enliven your circle, to have that conversation with each other, things that you're finding in circle that would be really helpful. And you want to remember that we're sharing the time, and you'll get a chime from Amy toward the end to let you know that we're going to be coming back together. So have a wonderful time, take a minute, and you'll find yourself in a circle soon. Thank you. So this isn't, the circles went way too fast, I have to say. We barely got going. But if people would like to say into the group something that was important to them from their circle, now's a chance to do that. Amy, I guess if somebody wanted to speak, you could see that.
Yeah, so you would just raise your hand, which just you would go to your Zoom toolbar, which is the row of icons underneath your pictures. There you go. Mary Beth has her hand up, just to tell everybody else how to do it, and then you can call on Mary Beth. Click on the icon that says reactions, and when you click on that, there is a raise hand.
Great.
So Linda, you want to open your participant window, and then you can see at the top who has their hand raised, just starting with Mary Beth.
Okay.
Thank you. We had a wonderful group of very experienced circle facilitators from around the world. And when we talked about what's been beneficial, certainly Zoom's been very beneficial. And one comment that was made is what there's the speaking our truth into the circle, that inner sense of truth. And that we also talked about not using the word sacred circle, because some people imply religion with that. And so we discussed, maybe that's held, but implicitly as opposed to explicitly. And that teaching circles around the world, even in extreme right-wing countries, how important it is for women activists, especially, to talk about social justice. And then we also talked about how this time with Zoom has connected us all in a much broader way, and also given us the time to finish some projects with more circles. And we also talked about what aspects of starting or enlivening the circle we wanted to discuss. And one woman shared, living in a patriarchal society sometimes hears criticism about circles being just for wealthy white women, and how to expand that. And one of our participants mentioned her work in Africa and Brazil, and women of at all levels helping build villages and work together cooperatively and working together. And another woman talked about how she would like to create a circle specifically speaking about aging and having elder connections. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Beth. Colleen?
I just want to say how important this was for me to be able, I haven't been in a circle since the early 70s in a consciousness raising group. and to express some things that something that's very painful for me, and that was heard. I was heard, and also to hear some suggestions that will be very important for me, and I will join the Millionth Circle. I saw it a month ago, but after today, I will actually join, and I thank you for that.
Thank you, Colleen. Judy?
Yeah, what I enjoyed, there were three of us, but it's just how we just shared very simple, basic, life-giving things. And these are people who didn't know each other, and we're all from different places, probably different kinds of lives too. But it was very nice. It was just nice and simple. I liked it. Yeah.
Good. Good. Karen? No? Anne, are you raising your hand? No? Amy, help me. I can't tell who's. Let's see, here's.
Dawn has just raised her hand here.
Karen just would need to unmute herself.
Oh, okay.
You know how to do that, Karen? There you go.
Okay. Let's see what Dawn says, and then we'll go to Karen.
I am Dawn. I will speak. I'm the matrix convener for Gather the Women, and I was in a circle with 3 women who've never been in a circle before. And the resounding consistency was that sisters wanted to connect deeply. And that's what was missing in their lives, which is what brought them to the Millionth Circle. I am complete. Thank you.
How perfect. How perfect that you were with 3 people that had not been in circle. Great. And where did Karen go? I don't see Karen.
We've had a lot of trouble getting, Karen is here from Italy, and we've had quite a lot of trouble getting her sound to work. She wasn't able to join any of the breakouts, but she's called in on a phone, and getting the phone unmuted has been a challenge. So we'll see if we can try to get her up. But meanwhile, we have Tiffany and Duane have their hands up. Do you want to call on one of them?
Yeah, Tiffany. Let's see. No? Can you unmute? Do you know how to do that?
Unmute, Tiffany, down in the left corner.
It wasn't letting me. It said the host disabled it. So I was like, I was trying to text you. Anyway, my circle, all of us, none of us have ever been in a circle. So we're all kind of stumbling our way through it. And I think that the consensus is there's just, at least my consensus of the group was that there is just so much wisdom and so much, I'm trying to find the word, but just power in presence with one another. And everyone was really curious, really wanting, we all really want to have a place where we can dive into things deeper with more meaning. And I think that the feminine aspect of circle is just so, it's just so empowering. And so I just want to, thank you all. It's very different than reading the book, The Millionth Circle, even though that just was, mine's all underlined and that was really wonderful too. But I just want to thank you all so much for providing this space. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany. Duane?
Hello, everyone. I was, as I often am, I was just blown over by the resonance of synchronicity in the circle we were in, and that beauty that just pervades a circle somehow. I feel it. I was also struck for the beauty of having a wider circle than has been more local in my elder circle or drumming circle or various circles. And I thought what was really important, we had one person who was less familiar, was that we talked about combining circles or limited time circles on a topic, or drumming circles or elder circles. So that began to give us a space to explore what we might want more of. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any more hands.
Well, let's see if Karen, can you, are you audible yet? No, I can't. Karen is a part of the birthing and nurturing of the Green Tent Circle. And she started in Italy, but was in Italy, as in Germany and Spain. So that's Karen. So I don't want to speak for her, but she can't speak for herself. So hi, Karen.
You can write in the chat, Karen, if you wish.
Is the person on the phone, can they press 6 and I think that lets them in? I'm not sure, but
is the case in America. I don't know that it is in Italy. We have been trying that.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. No, because I was unmuted before and then it didn't work, and so here I am. I arrived late also because I had this invitation quite late, only a few hours ago morning, but I couldn't organize myself differently. So at least I'm here at the end. Yes, I'm part of the Green Tent Circle in Italy. And we already had a meeting, and I have just elaborated a little bit the horoscope of this newborn project, the Green Tent. And I've sent it to you, Anne, and to Angela, who is living in Italy, but at the moment she's in Germany. And so if you like it, or if you want to change it. And that's, in the meantime, my contribution that I could give.
Thank you, Karen.
Very happy about this invitation, but it didn't really work out this time to participate really.
You got in the perfect timing. Perfect timing. Everything's perfect.
Okay. Good.
Yes.
Linda?
Yes.
I wanted to say something about a circle I was in. There were 5 of us, and 2 from Mexico, someone from Findhorn, someone from Brazil. So we were quite intercultural. And one thing that struck me, it was one person didn't speak English as well as she wanted, but she spoke in Spanish. And I just want to say that it's the allowing of someone to speak that allows them to hear themselves and to know what they are exploring and discovering and realizing in terms of their dreams. And just celebrating these circles in Mexico. 2 women started, and now there are 30 people, and they don't have enough time for all the circles they want to do. It's just amazing and wonderful.
I might want to add to that. One of the thoughts that came up in our circle was really how do you start a circle? How does it work? in that way. And I made the suggestion that if in starting a circle, you don't need to just have a whole bunch of people to start it. 1 or 2 or 3 people who are committed. If you just ask a friend and maybe a third friend, or just the 2 of you, starting that is enough. If you set an actual time right then when people agree that you are going to use this format, maybe with the circle guidelines, and that you meet regularly, and then you set a time right then and there, and you show up. And I mentioned also about how if for some reason nobody shows up but you, have the circle anyway. Do it with yourself. Light a candle, call in spirit, or whatever it is, however you begin your circles, do it with yourself and feel that you are a complete circle within yourself. And then afterwards, let those other people know what a great circle it was. So the whole thing is about consistency, paying attention to time, and showing up, and being in your fullness and supporting others in their fullness. Oh, and one other thing, passing the facilitation around the circle, so it doesn't turn out to just be one person always leading the circle, because then that becomes sort of a teaching sort of thing. And it's not about that. It's about sharing leadership and letting it move around the circle.
I just want to add one thing to that, Justine, is that when we invite people into circle, we need to be sure that these are the people that we want to learn with and learn together. People who our self-development, our spiritual development is an important aspect for maintaining the circle. And so we want to be sure to invite people who are interested in this personal and community development. Both of these aspects are important. And so be sure that you invite people that you want to learn with.
I'm wondering if Jean or Leslie or any other, Catherine, I see you there, any other Ronita, Millionth Circle people have something that they would like to say, because it looks like we still have a little bit of time.
Yeah, I could say something. I just following on what Peggy just said. You want to make sure you have the right people, and maybe you don't know that right away, but you know, one of the things that I have found among women, I mean, that I think it starts when we're very young, that there's kind of a pettiness and a jealousy as girls, as we're growing up, and you know, there's kind of like pushing out of the best friend, and I don't know, maybe everybody can identify with this, maybe not, but something that happens very early on in girls' friendships. And what I find with circle work over all these years is that a truly welcoming place happens in my own heart for women, for the differences among us. Instead of jealousy, there's this appreciation for the diversity of women. And in a circle, you get to really feel, oh my goodness, you know, this, instead of, oh, I'm not that, it's like, no, I'm not that, she's that. And it's so beautiful. And so for a real change to happen, some people have this happen for them more than others, where there's, a jealousy, let's say. But for a real change to go on, a circle is such a wonderful opportunity to face that kind of, those kinds of judgments and to put them aside and then be filled with something else. It's quite a transformation potential.
Yes, nicely said.
I just wanted to add too, in our circle, they talked about having men in circle and how the men carried the same feminine values and really were very beautifully a part of it. And I have done this with teenagers, boys and girls, and for them, it was the only place where they could deeply share. So, kids get it like this. They get it just like that. And there's not sometimes a place where they can just be themselves or say what's going on, whether it's in the school or at home or whether they're being bullied. And to have that safe, nurturing place is a godsend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so true, Anne. So
I appreciate what Leslie's definitely said. This is Kathy. I had mentioned in our group that I find particularly that women have certain modalities from the professions that they're in now. And that's how they somewhat know how to interact if their worlds have not been, they may have had wide worlds. They may have traveled, worked overseas, done all kinds of things, but this is how their comfort zone for interacting. And like Leslie said, they bring in the competitiveness, they bring in the jealousy. This is their style, and to get them to a comfort level to learn a new mode of communication and to be a woman's woman, sometimes it just doesn't happen. I mean, I find this in, unfortunately, some of my personal friendships, and it's really sad. I feel like I could cry because that's not who and what I'm about. And women still carry this jealousy. Do you have more? Do you have a guy? I don't have a guy, and things that are just really block a friendship, which then I just have decided I have to move on, and find other women who are more like-minded and hang with them instead of, unfortunately, trying to see if other women could be given some shift and some transformation experience. It's, I'm not stuck, but it's just what I've learned. So.
Now that's so true, Kathy. And I think, I spoke briefly that we wish Circle to be a safe space and a brave space. And what I ordinarily do to complete a circle, we always like to complete with saying our appreciations out loud, because when we can accent and speak aloud what we see that's happening, that we value, that we treasure, both in others and in ourselves and in the circle as a whole, this actually gives us a capacity to steer to what we wish to, what you appreciate appreciates. And also, usually before we do appreciations, we clear the air, because oftentimes people may not intend any hurt to others, and yet the actual impact of something they say or do may have that impact. So it's there are tools for clearing the air and agreements that we wish to give ourselves permission to express our strong feelings and leave what is in circle. So we don't take it out and gossip or be angry at each other or be depressed by what happened. We want to clear it in circle, and then we complete with appreciations.
I'd like to add a couple of comments. One has to do with the particular age that the woman is in, whether you are in the premenopause, postmenopause, where you are and how much of life you have lived through. It isn't always a function of age, because sometimes a lot of life was lived through in the first 10 years of one's life. So it has to do with maturity. It has to do with people often who've been into therapy because things got overwhelming. So they went into therapy, they talked about themselves, they spent not all that much time in therapy because therapy is either expensive or it's time limited. Well, a women's circle can last the rest of your life. I mean, I'm in one circle that has been going on for 40 years. 6 of us. There were 8 of us at one time. We got down to 6. We got down to what it is that is like your own archetypal sister archetype, where you view each other as unique people and trustworthy people who have been through their particular hardships in life, and nobody gets through life scot-free. There's always heartbreak, there's always sickness, there's always deaths, there's so many things. And one of the things that I'm really hopeful that will happen is that after this pandemic, that people who have lost people might meet together and share their experience of what it was like to lose someone in the pandemic, and then to have dreams about that person. Because I work a lot with people's dreams. A Jungian analyst does this. And there are often dreams in which the person who died is in a dream, and you know that the person is sort of an in-between place. You know in the dream that person has died. And there are many people who are hearing in a way they get a sense of, I mean, if you're intuitive, you just feel presence. And I'm an intuitive, so I don't dramatically hear voices or see people, but I talk to people who have seen people and heard from them. And it's different from having hallucinations. I mean, one of the things is when you have a hallucination, an auditory hallucination that is just critical all the time, you do want to turn it off. But when you hear the voice of someone who has gone on, who wants to communicate in some way to you, consider it. Consider sharing it within a small circle. Circles are a place where you share your vulnerability. And I would also suggest that you don't immediately, when you start a circle, that you try it, that everyone in it gets this idea of what a circle is like. But you sometimes get an idea that your intuition says it's not going to work, or there's something about it, but there's a sense of, but maybe not this circle. It's like we try out friendships and we're hurt by some of them. We drop deeply into other ones. Well, circles are like that. They're like superficial friendships, some circles when you realize that what you want is someone who can speak from the heart and who has been through suffering and is able to be compassionate and things like this. So I would suggest that you start a group, as people have been talking about it, and make a commitment to say 4 meetings. And you either get a sense of 4 to 6 max, say, and then you consider, are you going to continue, or did you just get enough of a circle to know that I want to be in circle, but this one is not for me? I mean, how many times have you dated somebody and started out thinking, oh, this is good, and then, you kind of get, well, somehow it doesn't work. And this is true of friendships. It's also true of circles. And like a good friendship, a circle can last the rest of your life. And as women, we outlive a lot of our partners. Our children move in different directions. there's loss of our parents. There's something about being in a circle that continues. And one of the things about the Millionth Circle that is so surprising is that there have been they started out, the conveners are holding, we're like the elders holding it, seeding circles wherever we go. You don't have to join a club or anything. You just have to get the seed idea and be inspired by it. And this is about like planting anything. Some seeds take, other seeds don't take. But when you get a sense of how good it is to have a friendship within a circle, because if you're just got one good friend, then if there's a crisis, there's only one person to talk to about what's going on. When you're in a circle, somebody is available. Someone may also be in a crisis. It can last the rest of your life. And often women outlive their partners and can be in a circle with each other. So I think circle can be an ongoing, deep relationship in which you can share what's going on in the painful side of your life, but mostly one of the things that you can share is something that you have wanted to do and be all your life, but it was discouraged by your family and you didn't have time when you were in the midlife and you had to job and kids and all that. But your circle can hold your vision of who you could be. Idea of individuation, for example, is to become who you were meant to be. And as long as you're still here on this earth, in this body, you still have time to be who you were meant to be, whether it's creative, whether it's service, whether it's spiritual, whether it's nature, whatever it is. Now, the people who have an idea of who you are may discourage you because they have a sense that you should stay the way you are to them. But if you're going to grow and keep on growing, then touch into what is inside of you that wants you to become more of who you are. So, and that keeps you alive and have a reason to live and to live a long life, actually. That's what I'm doing at 85, by the way.
Wow, I love it. Oh, Jean, you're so great. God bless you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add that you can do circle events. Why have a hierarchical event in which you have to look at people's heads, back of their heads, and you don't get to be heard, and you don't have the interaction? And when you have a speaker, be able not to reflect on it or say what I'm going to do about it. So circle events are the way to go. And you can have them. I've been in those that are with 1,200 women because you break down into small circles. And they were the most empowering breakthrough of the patriarchal kind of way of doing things that people have experienced. So yes, you can also have circle events and they will be meaningful. They will have changed people's lives. They're transformative. So I always say, why in the world would we go back to hierarchy when we have circle?
Wonderful, Anne. And Jean and Leslie and Linda and Justine and Peggy and Lauren and everyone who's on the call. It's been a very fruitful time. We had a wonderful small circle. And I do hope this is a seeding event and that those of you on this circle do begin something in your world, wherever you are. Jean, I know I'm going to ask you to ring us out with your bell, but before that, I just thank you all, and it's been a privilege to be with you today. There are resources. Millionth Circle website, Jean has a website, Lauren has websites. I will send an email out to you with these resources so you can check us all out at some point and move forward in your circles. Jean, thank you.
Put your hand on your heart in that heart chakra, and see what comes up when the bell sounds, what inspiration, what idea, what hope, what prayer, whatever it is that comes from the heart. Feel it, hear it,